our longest running activation, even longer than Harvey. Our previous record was ITC, March and April of last year, which ran for 37 consecutive days. That said, we are continuing to be here in Emergency Operations Center responding for your health and safety. What you see in the background is the most essential of the essential personnel that are needed, that are key to public safety. And I can assure you that even while we're here and only 30 of us, there are thousands of employees across Harris County working at different locations or working remotely, even today on Good Friday, into the coming weekend, and even on this coming Easter. That said, I want to recognize that as we enter one of the most holiest seasons for many faith traditions, that there's absolutely nothing traditional about how COVID-19 is changing our lives right now. That said, I'm optimistic and I'm inspired. I have the opportunity to be on a weekly call with our faith-based leaders from across this country, and I'm uplifted by their leadership, their resilience, and their creativity. Most of the faith-based leaders across this country, county, are working side by side with healthcare, businesses, nonprofit, and government in our fight against the coronavirus. And even before there were any local orders about mass gatherings or services, many of those leaders and faith-based institutions in this county canceled services, and they continue to lead by example. We've heard from many of them that their communities have grown exponentially by going online, and they're being creative in how they will worship this weekend into the coming days in a way that is still celebrating, but not doing so in mass gatherings. So I urge you to seek those opportunities out, because there are plenty of those. And so whether you are of faith or no faith, there are ways that you can celebrate this weekend. One is by reaching out to a neighbor, check on a senior, look to be of service, and look to give. And we would urge you to look at places and at people that you might not normally consider needing help, because everyone in the community is currently being impacted by that. That said, while you may not be able to go to services this weekend, you can be of service. And an initial survey that we have done through our nonprofit partners has indicated that there's a need in our community. 40% or so of the respondents to that survey as of now have said they need either help with food, utilities, or some kind of financial assistance. No, I want to date. So some ways you can be a part of a response this weekend. Let me offer two suggestions. First, you can help complete that survey to let us know what needs are in the community. You can text IMPACT to 888-777 and give us your feedback to see what's going on in your community, so we can plan to be a part of that, and also share that across the board. Secondly, there's anxiety and concern in our community. 48% of those respondents so far said they could not relax. I think 29% said they felt hopeless. So we have some resources. If you're experiencing any of those, please go to readyharris.org and seek out those resources that are there. And even if you're not experiencing any of those, please share those resources on our social media and as widely as you can. You can go to readyharris.org for those resources so you can share them. You can also dial 211 24/7 to get some assistance and some help. You can also text to 741-741 24/7 as a crisis helpline. And the Harris Center here is operating a toll-free service 24/7 that'll help you connect you or someone you know that needs mental services through our COVID-19 response. And that number is 1-833-986-1919. Again, those resources are available on Ready Harris. Glad to take any questions about what we're doing here over the coming days as well.
Francisco, can you tell us a little bit about what to expect with the weather this weekend?
Yes. So we expect some showers tonight. We expect some showers tomorrow. The forecast, as you know, can change very quickly. So the best thing to do is follow Ready Harris, stay tuned to local media for the weather updates, but this will be a wet weekend, so it's much safer to stay home than to be out and about.
Next question comes from Adam Bennett at KHOU. During the last press conference, you mentioned your greatest challenge in fighting COVID-19 is getting people to social distance. Is that still the case? How well do you feel people in Harris County have complied?
Oh, we've seen good response in the community in terms of social distancing. That said, we know there's some challenges coming into the coming days. We've been doing this for a while. And we're also coming up on a weekend where people are usually out and about on Easter weekend. Social distance is still the key to us being successful in responding to the coronavirus. And we have to understand that it's having an impact and it's working. According to the Kinder Institute, just the first 2 weeks of social distancing has saved about 4,800 lives and has kept about 48,000 people from having to go to the hospital for treatment for the coronavirus because they didn't get it for social distancing. So that's what the science tells us from folks like the Kinder Institute. That said, we have not peaked yet, so it remains critically important. No matter what government does, the most important factor in how successful we are is going to be what people do in terms of social distancing.
Our next question comes from Charlie at ABC 13. Why are county parks only closed this weekend? Will the closures last longer?
County parks are closed this weekend for a couple of reasons. One, to help reduce that as an option for people that want to go out and celebrate this weekend. We have typically had parks open because those are spaces for social distancing. People can still go out and exercise and do that. They are simply closed right now for this weekend, and after this weekend, we will make a reassessment in terms of where we go with parks and trails. And it's also going to be a wet weekend anyway, so it's probably not a good place to be out.
Next question comes from Ivory at Fox 26. What are Harris County's plans to begin testing members of the public for antibodies? Los Angeles County has begun this to track how far coronavirus is spread.
Sure. So right now, our public health department is working with Houston to have 2 community sites, and there's an increased test in surge. Right now, plans are in place to look at, one, the availability of those antibody testing, and to see how they can be effectively rolled out in our community.
Are there any updates on testing centers and the number of people being tested, and why has that number grown for the number of positive cases?
Sure. Anytime you increase testing, what we've seen across the country is you will see the spikes in positive test results, and that's simply a matter of those tests being available. So we're beginning to get a good sense of what those testing results look like, and also making sure that as we see those increase in positive cases, our public health department is working very closely with hospitals across this region to see where we are. So testing will increase in the coming weeks. And so as that information becomes available and those centers and areas you can get tested become available, we'll be pushing that information out as well for the community.
Next question comes from Charlie at ABC 13. Can you repeat the info about the survey? When was it distributed? Who responded and how many people?
Sure. The survey is being conducted by our nonprofit partners, the same partners that did the Harvey survey. It gives us a sense of what the needs are in the community, and that helps us plan. You can get that survey by texting IMPACT to 888-777. Again, if you text IMPACT to 888-777, it will give you a direct link to that survey. And when you fill that out, we'll have information about what kind of needs are in the community, what people are experiencing. That'll inform our nonprofit sector. It'll inform us on the government side to see what those needs are and how we can respond. That survey remains open. They update the results pretty regularly, I believe weekly, and so those will be released at that time. But that's a way that you can inform us and our nonprofit partners about what needs are so we can respond more effectively.
Next question comes from Ivory at Fox 26. Governor Abbott says he had more than 100,000 masks overnighted to Harris County this week. How are they being distributed?
Sure. So right now, we have a lot of resource requests that are coming from healthcare partners, from first responders. And so we've got a system in place to work with those first responders and our healthcare professionals to find out where those resources are needed. And as soon as those resources come in, they are sent out to the front lines to help our healthcare workers and also our first responders that are out in the field. And those folks are the ones that are the most likely to come into contact or exposed to a potential coronavirus. So that's how that process is working right now.
Next question comes from Adam at KHOU. Can you repeat the number of days straight that the EOC has been operational and how that compares?
Sure. Today is our 40th consecutive day of activation at the Harris County Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Management, and that's a record for us. It's even longer than Harvey. The previous record was held by the ITC explosion and fire, that we activated for last March and April, and that was 37 days. So right now, the 40th consecutive day, and we expect to be going for this at a while. So that's where we are right now.
Next question comes from Marissa Luck. Is Houston becoming the next coronavirus hotspot for Texas? Are you still expecting infections to peak around May 2nd in Houston? How long will stay-home orders and social distancing mandates have to be maintained after the peak?
Sure. So I can't tell you if we're at the peak now. I can tell you what will help us to make sure that we are not a hotspot, and that is social distancing. I'll have to repeat this again because it's critically important. No matter what government does at the local, state, or federal level, the most important thing in determining how successful we're going to be in the stopping the spread of coronavirus is social distancing. 6 feet apart, as much as possible. Follow all the evolving guidance from our state, local, and federal partners to stay safe. So that, in the end, is going to determine how high the curve goes and how quickly we can get back to normal. Good. Well, thank you for joining us, everybody. On behalf of the Harris County Office of Emergency Management, all of our partners here in the EOC and across this region, thank you for following us, for following those recommendations, for maintaining social distancing. Again, text IMPACT to 888-777 to tell us what you're experiencing so we can plan for that. Follow Ready Harris for the latest updates, follow guidance, and we look forward to visiting with you again next week.